It's my favorite part of a clone armor build. It's making the seamless armor. I got my arms finished, and I'm going to show you how I did it today on Darth Rage Reviews.
Darth Rage Reviews, your source for the Force? Nah, for the Republic!
Greetings, Force fans, and welcome to another episode of Darth Rage Reviews, your source for the Force. I'm back, y'all. I'm back. I'm refreshed. I'm bigger and better than ever. And I'm ready to start sharing my Star Wars life with you once more. So thank you for giving me the time to take a little break, relax with my family over the holidays, and I hope you guys had the chance to do the same. So I was relaxing, but I was also working at the same time, just kind of doing it slowly at a much more enjoyable pace. And I managed to get my arms for my Cody build, Commander Cody build. That guy right there. I managed to get the arms complete and ready for paint. Almost 100% ready for paint. There's a couple things that I need to work on. Like I just taped in the rubber straps here, silicone straps for that. It requires a different type of paint for this. I use Flex Seal or I use a Plastidip paint for those. So I've just kind of taped those in so you kind of see where they go. And I have not primed these yet, but I did put in the padding, a little bit of padding for the elbows. So elbows ready, arm plates or hand plates ready. These just need prime and paint. Very, very simple process. But yeah, primarily this video is going to cover creating the seamless armor. So what we've got here, and you can kind of see in the seams on either side where this was shimmed together. This was two pieces of armor that through the magic of, I don't know, whatever, armor creation, I managed to make it look like one seamless piece. Now there are a couple little parts that you can kind of see right there, a little bit of a chip that I didn't take the time. I could have gotten that filled and completely flat. Would have taken several more steps of what I do to do this. So rather than that, I'll turn that into a blaster mark. I'll utilize that in the weathering process. But yeah, these things are almost 100% ready to go. There's a couple little additions. One I need to one of the forearms and one I need to one of the biceps, but I'll talk about that kind of after I show you guys and take you guys through the process of how you create seamless clone armor. So it's really not that difficult. It's not an extremely difficult process. You don't need a whole lot of fancy equipment. It just takes time. There's several steps of doing the same thing over and over again that really makes it a lengthy process. But the skills that you utilize in this are the same skills that are applied to all parts of the armor. So if you can do this, you can build an entire set of clone armor. I mean, it's daunting, but it's not difficult. So let me take you guys through the process, and I'll show you guys basically how you take two separate pieces of ABS plastic and turn them into one. Now, the arms I typically do first. Again, this is the most daunting part of a clone build, is creating that seamless clone armor. The arms I typically do first just because the kit, the way that you cut it out, it really doesn't take a whole lot of adjusting. You just kind of line the arms up and create the seal. The legs, however, take a whole lot more kind of measuring, cutting, and figuring out the pieces, because they don't, the way the legs come, they don't exactly fit like that. They overlap like this, and you need to kind of cut off the overlap piece. So always start with the arms, in my opinion, and then I'll move on to the legs after that. So let's take a look here at how we create seamless armor for my Commander Cody. All right, so the whole process starts when you cut out the arm pieces. They're pretty much ready to go. You don't really have to do any adjusting to them. So I've got a piece of sandpaper on the workbench here, and I'm just sanding them to get them as flat and even as possible. You want those seams to line up. It's just going to make your job easier later on. Then comes the ABS slurry. This stuff is so much fun to work with. I make this by using the scrap pieces of ABS that you cut off the armor. You mix it with acetone, and it turns into this, it's great. It's a filler, it's a glue, it's a little bit of everything. It's a plastic sludge, and it like chemically bonds the armor, so it makes it really, really strong. So I've created these shims, and I'm using the slurry to glue them onto each pieces or each piece, and then I glue those pieces together. Clamp them down, let them sit for an hour, maybe 2 hours, and typically they are not going anywhere. Again, this scientifically kind of melds it all into one piece, so it's better than using super glue, in my opinion. It's really fun to work with. So after I get this whole thing clipped together, I typically then let it sit overnight. Then it's time to use the ABS slurry as the filler. So I kind of dribble that down onto the seams and then rub it in using a glove. Now this stuff will be thicker or thinner depending on how much acetone you add to it and how long you let it sit, basically. I like to get it into this pasty putty kind of consistency, and then, put it in the seams and, just kind of smooth it down. The smoother you get it, the less sanding you're going to have to do later on. Typically this takes 2 or 3 runs with this just till you get that seam completely filled up. Then you're ready for the really fun part and the only real sanding that you have with one of these, and it's on these seams. So typically start with a block sander. I'm using an 80 grit sandpaper here the first go round. It just helps, bring those ridges way down and kind of flatten that seam. So whole lot of sanding there. Then I switched to the mouse sander, and again I'm still using an 80 grit here just to get that first go round done. Then I start applying filler primer. I'm not showing you any of that. I just spray a coat of filler primer on it, and it's onto Bondo. So the filler primer shows you really where you need that Bondo to smooth it out completely. So I'll add that Bondo in, filler primer Bondo, and I literally do this. Sometimes it's 2 or 3 times. Sometimes it ends up being 5 or 6 times. Just depends on how smooth you can get it. So Bondo, filler primer, sand, Bondo, filler primer, sand. You just keep doing it over and over. Always rinse these in between the sandings. I don't ever show that process, but I rinse them off in the sink just to make sure they're clean, and eventually you end up something that looks a whole lot smoother. So then onto the elbows. You got to drill out these little bitty hash marks that are in the side of the elbows. So take the Dremel to do that and smooth those out. And then I like to add a little pad to the elbow just so it kind of pops out over the bicep and over the forearm. Anytime you're going to super glue anything into there, you want to go ahead and sand it off first just to make sure you get it smooth. So I sand it, super glue it, add it in there, and then clamp it. We're done. That's how it happens. That's how it's done, y'all. I mean, like I said, it's nothing extremely difficult. It's just tedious work, and it is something that takes a lot of time and a lot of steps and a lot of drying, a lot of sanding. Overall, there's not an entire lot of sanding when you're working with ABS plastic kit. However, there's going to be a lot involved with getting this armor seamless. So it is 90%, 98% ready to go. There's a couple pieces that needed to be added. And like I said, you can see there's some areas, like I'll smooth out all of these edges here where there's, little cracks and dents and whatnot. I'll get that smoothed before the final paint goes on. A couple places where it's not, 100%, but for example, you can see, and I don't even know if you can catch it in the light, but there's a couple little places, indents there, where I didn't get it quite 100%, but on this piece, we actually have the com pad that's going to go over there. So there'll be after I paint it white, a gray strip here for the Cody build, and then this com pad goes on like something like that right there, maybe a little bit closer. So that'll cover up some of those blemishes. Other blemishes, again, I'll just turn into blaster marks, turn into weathering, turn into battle damage. So that piece will need to be added to this, the compound, and that's the same for all clones, whether you're a clone commander or just regular old clone. And then the really cool thing with Cody is he's got a strap and a pin on, I believe it's the right hand bicep, because it's the opposite bicep of that. So strap and a pin on the bicep. And the kit that I got from Sanitized Creation came with a silicone and a resin cast piece to add that on. So you'll just so I have to measure this out because right now it's just a little bit too big. I'll measure it out, cut it, and then glue that on like so. Yeah, you get the point. So little accessories for Cody build that the Commander build that I really enjoy. That pin, and this is a pin, PEN pin. I don't understand how it's a pen, but that's what they call it. I think somebody just decided that was a pen and they made it a pen. So looks a lot more like an antenna, or maybe some type of medicine or something. I don't know. So here we have it, the completed arm section for my Commander Cody build. So where do we go from here? What's the next step? Everybody builds their clones different. A lot of people will tell you to kind of start with the ab area. I've built several of these. I built them for my body type, so I know what I'm working with there. There's certain pieces that determine how other pieces go, and you will have to build those first. So like the ab portion will determine how large the chest and back is, as well as the cod and the butt. So I'll have to do the ab before I do the chest, back, cod, butt. The ab and all of that will not affect my arms and my legs, so I can always do my arms and legs first, and I just like to knock those out first. So arms are now done. Shoulders I'd already done earlier with the helmet build. So I've got the helmet done, shoulders done, arms are ready for paint. Next, I'm going to move on to the legs. So I'll knock out those two leg pieces, the shins and the thighs, get both those done. Then it's on to the abs, chest, back, butt, cod, and getting that belt mounted on there. So it really starts to kind of speed up here. I'm going to get all these pieces put together and then probably paint it all at once. I don't know. I might end up painting, if I get some nice weather days, painting as we go. But yeah, really, really excited about how this is going. Probably got about another month, maybe month and a half, 2 months, depending on how I do it to get this done. So I hope you guys join me on the journey. This is a fun build for me. I hope you guys enjoy watching it. It's my Commander Cody build. Stay tuned for the next video. If you guys enjoyed this, please give me a like, give me a follow, give me a subscription. You'll probably enjoy other videos if you like this one. So as always, guys, I'm Darth Rage. This is Darth Rage Reviews, your source for the Force.
The circle is now complete. When I left you, I was but the learner. Now I am the master.